Yo, what's up, you guys? Okay, so today the focus of my practice is going to be on putting alignment drills. I'm going to show you 3 different drills I do to make sure my alignment's square. There are basically 3 fundamentals in putting. You have to have good green reading ability, good control of your speed, and your ability to get your ball rolling on line. Well, alignment is the #1 thing you have to focus on to getting your ball on line. If our face is aimed to the right, we're going to pull it or shut the face to get it back on line, vice versa if it's open. Or if we aim sideways, we're going to try and push it back on line, which begs the question of, well, how much are we aiming sideways? How much are we pushing or pulling? Very tough to be consistent. But if we line up square every single time, we have a good chance of having a good square path because we don't have to manipulate. And we have a good chance of making our face get square because we don't have to manipulate. We still have to train it, but again, we're off to the right foot. So few drills here to work on your alignment, and all they take are some alignment sticks, so no real excuses, which I personally like. Okay, so here we have our first drill. So this takes 2 alignment sticks, and I put T's up near the hole just to show where the sticks are aimed. Basically, it's a little bit wider than the width of my putter because I want to have room to put my putter down when I'm hitting, but this stick is going to be just to the right of the hole. This other one's going to be just left of the hole, and if I know that these 2 things are parallel left and right, the middle of these sticks are going to be to the hole. Now, I've obviously already found the flat putt, so I know this thing's not going to break, and then from there, what I can do is I can set up with my feet square to the stick, try and get my hips and my shoulders square, and once everything is square, the last thing I do is make sure my putter is square to the sticks as well, and then from there I'm just going to put in a bunch of reps hitting putts, working on my alignment. Okay, so now the second way I'll work this alignment drill is to put 2 sticks together, and what it's going to do is create a little groove between these 2 sticks to put my ball on. Now I can make the groove wide and make it easier, or I can make it tight and make it very difficult. Now this is obviously something I can align off of with my body and my club face, but also if my face is off at all, you can see that ball very quickly wants to start falling off these sticks, whether it be to the right or to the left. I have to roll this ball perfectly on line in order for my ball to stay on these tracks. So again, really good drill for alignment, but also to make sure you're rolling the ball in line, which ultimately is why we're working our alignment in the first place. Okay, and the last way you can work on your alignment with an alignment stick like this is to jam a stick in the ground. You can see by the shadow, it's not laying flat. The stick is angled in the ground like this at a very shallow angle. And what I can do is I can put my ball underneath this stick, make sure I get my eyes over the golf ball so everything looks square, line up my face and my putter to that stick, and then from there, go ahead and hit some putts, and again, get a sense of where square is. Very, very simple drill, and I do it just barely off the green because I don't want to tear up the greens. All right, now real quick, let's just dive a little bit deeper into the theory of alignment and why it's so important. So first off, if you were to fire a gun, right, the easiest way to make sure you're going to hit the target is to align where you're trying to hit it. You're not trying to pull it onto the target last second. Same thing in putting. If we aim towards it, we have our best chance of hitting it. Now, there's a couple different ways we can align. First is with our putter face, which is the most important, and then from there, our body. The body is optional. The putter face getting square, not so much, because if our face is square at address, we have a really good chance of returning it square. It's when we get out of alignment that we have to start manipulating our stroke to get it back on line. If my putter, instead of being aimed square, is starting to aim off to the right, again, what do I have to do? I have to start pulling across it, or I have to start looping my putter, or I have to start shutting the face during my stroke in order to get the ball in line. And there's different ways to shut the face. I can try and hood it going back, I can twist it closed, I can try and add loft. However it is, I'm going to try and close down that face because instinctively my body knows after enough putts, I don't want to miss this putt to the right anymore. So again, you're going to develop some type of pull stroke, whether it's your path or your release, it's going to be a pull stroke. Just like if you get your face too close to the left in this direction, again, you're going to start trying to shove the putt out to the right, or you're going to try and twist the face open, or you're going to try and twist the face open in your downswing, however you're doing it, or you're going to try and jam your hands forward to shove the face open. You're going to develop something that we don't want to have in our stroke in order to get that ball back online. It's not that you can't do it. I've seen many players misalign and make putts. The problem is, how repeatable can you be? The answer is not as repeatable as somebody who gets it square. Because if your face is square, now you don't need to have a path that is pushing or pulling. Doesn't mean we don't still have that. We still might have to train that into our stroke because bad habits are bad habits. But we don't have a root cause that is making us pull or push it with our path. And same thing with our face and how we're trying to square it up. If our face is already square, we don't need to try and shove it open or close it down. We have a chance of trying to keep this putter face very square during our stroke. Oftentimes, that's why we start to feel very yippy when we hit putts. #1 is because we miss a lot of putts, we lose confidence, and mentally it becomes a problem. But the root cause of why we missed a lot of those putts is because we were misaligned. our face was out of whack. We felt like we had to slam that putter shut last second or shove it open last second. And doing anything last second feels very yippy because it's a very quick motion at the bottom of your stroke. And then you start to associate that with hitting bad putts, feeling uncomfortable, feeling like everything is happening with quick twitch muscles. And again, you're unconfident because you're missing a bunch of putts. So all these things are very much tied together. And if you start working on your alignment, you have a chance of fixing them. Now, again, yips is a whole different story because that's the prerequisite. You got to work on your alignment and hitting a million putts online and feeling like you're getting rid of that flinchy motion with your body itself. And then you can start to build confidence as you make more putts and hit more good putts as well. And it feels good in your hands. So that's a long road you have to go down. But the point is, bad habits start because you're misaligned in your body. Your athletic subconscious mind is trying to get that ball back online versus when it's already square, you have your best chance of making a good mechanical stroke. Again, there's other things you need to focus on your stroke to make a good stroke, but if the table is not set, again, we're always going to try and react to get that ball online. So set the table, be diligent. You don't have to do for very long. Hit 20 putts, spend 5 minutes a day when you go to the golf course doing it, but be religious about it. It's the most important thing you can do when it comes to putting. Again, number one, you have to have decent green reading ability. You have to have a good sense of speed, and you have to get your ball rolling online if you're going to make a putt. And if you don't spend the basic amount of time it takes to align and have a chance of rolling your ball online, well, then you should expect to miss putts. And again, those 3 drills I just showed are very, very simple. There's no good reason not to do them. All right, so alignment drills. So again, no real good excuse not to do them because they're just so simple. They're so abundant. I mean, I just use sticks out of my golf bag, which aren't even necessarily the best alignment drills you can do. There are training aids meant specifically for it, right? You could use a putting mat, or you could use a putting mirror, or you could use a putting arc, or you can use a laser to aim square to the hole. Or one of the most common things you'll see players do is they'll get a chalk reel, like you get at a hardware store. They'll put one end of the chalk reel in the hole, they'll pull the reel back nice and taut, take the string and snap it on the straight putt line, and then they'll work alignment on there. Or if you have a putting mat at home, one of those ones where you can lay on the ground, you putt up to a hole and it feeds the ball back to you. Well, you can learn to aim square up against that mat and work on alignment there as well. You could put your head against a wall at home and aim your putter square against the wall. You could lay a flag stick down on the green when you're on the golf course, not in a tournament, but when you're on the golf course, lay down a flag stick, get square off that. Or if you're finding a cart path, there are going to be creases in the cart path where the concrete is. Learn to aim square along one of those. There's plenty of ways to get a sense of where you're aligning, and there's just no real good excuse for it because, again, it's one of the 3 staples of what makes a good putter. Good green reading, good control of your speed, and rolling the ball on line. Now, don't get it twisted. I've played with some golfers who set up off the toe of the putter, and they swing way into out, and they kind of hit hook putts, and I've played with golfers who do the opposite. They slice hard across it, and they're great putters. But it begs the question, are they great putters because they do that? Or are they great putters because they have a really good sense of speed and read, and they're very confident, and they make putts in spite of that? If you watch any player on tour or any professional golfer, they're not doing that, right? They're aiming square. They have a very square arc. They're spiraling that ball end over end over end when they draw a line on their ball. None of them are cutting across it. And if they are, it's more of a mistake than anything. It's a skill they're trying to master. And that's because when your ball's not spinning sideways, it's rolling end over end. It gets a more pure roll. It just has a better chance of holding its line because it's not trying to spin off line. It's just a much better way to make putts. It's tougher. Obviously, you have to learn to train that versus doing what's just comfortable and natural. But given enough training, it will become comfortable and natural. So, again, no real good excuse to do it. And especially when we have simple ones like I showed you today with those alignment sticks, they're just easy and readily abundant ways to work on your alignment. The way I like to practice putting is I do most of my alignment at home. If I don't, or if I'm at a tournament, I'll do it exactly like I did today, where I'll lay down sticks, or I'll have a putting mat that I'll line up square to the hole, and then I'll work my alignment drills. Then the other things I like to do is I like to work a lot of lag putting, putts from 20 to 60 feet away, because that exposes me to much bigger breaking putts. Distance control really forces me to read the greens. If I can lag it well, I'm starting to eliminate 3 putts, and then from there I'll pull the ball back about 3 feet, roughly a putter length. It's called drawing the ball back. And then I'll work my putts from 3 to 10 feet and get really good at my scoring putts. So my normal putting practice is comprised of alignment to make sure everything is square and I'm getting my ball in line. And then lag putting, which is making sure I'm reading the greens and controlling my speed well, which again is kind of the staples of what makes a good putter. So again, do with that what you will, but that's a good way to round out your skills in putting. You know, putting is obviously the low-hanging fruit. Of all the skills in golf, it might be the most difficult because we have such high expectations of making the ball in the hole. We feel like when we're on the green, right, we should be making in the hole versus a 250, 300-yard tee shot where we're like, well, there's a lot of trouble. This ball could go anywhere, versus a 3-foot putt feels like we should make it. The hard part about putting is the expectations behind it. But when it comes to the actual mechanics of it, putting is very, very simple. Can you aim square, and can you take out moving parts? Can you take out your hands from the stroke? Can you take out your arms from the stroke? Can you make your body stay relatively still? Really, can you make everything stay still except for turning your chest back and forth, and everything else is just along for the ride? If you can learn to do that well after you aim square, you have a really good chance of squaring up your face and squaring up your path. Again, might take a lot of training to get good at that, but it becomes very, very simple. Now, again, difficult because we have expectations. We want to make the putt. It takes a lot of practice, but mechanically significantly easier than a chip shot and infinitely easier than a full swing shot. So if we can just work on the right things, we have so much low-hanging fruit to grab and save strokes. You know, I can't tell you how oftentimes I see a person come in for a lesson, they're a 17 handicap, and they want to work on their driver, but they average 38 to 40 putts around. It's like, well, if we can get you down to 34 putts, which is good, but nowhere near great, you know, we could save you 4, 5, 6 shots instantaneously. We're working on the technique of your swing and finding a driver that fits and building a pattern with your driver is definitely still worth trying to do, but it's going to take a lot more work. I know it's the funner club to hit. I know it's the one that, you know, can get us into the most trouble, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the easiest strokes to save. Where again, good green reading, good speed control, and very importantly, aligning square. Because if you read a green correctly and you have good speed, it means nothing if you're misaimed and you never start the ball in line to begin with. So again, it's just the lowest hanging fruit of all of golf. And if you can spend the time to do alignment drills, you're going to be way better off for it. Again, it doesn't take a whole lot. What it takes is consistency. Do a little bit every day. If you're at home, hit 20 putts at home. If you're at the golf course, hit 20 putts before you go out and play. That takes literally 5 minutes to do. And again, over time, your eyes will get trained to looking at it. And here's a very important side note, and I'll leave you with this. When you do work on your alignment, first start by getting your feet square, your hips square, your shoulders square, your body parts. From there, aim your face square. And then lastly, make sure without moving your body, you look up towards the hole, because a big part of alignment is referencing out of the corner of our eyes. And when we look towards the hole, where is that relative to my shoulders and my upper body? Your eyes are going to get trained to say, okay, is it at this angle relative to my shoulder, this angle, or this angle? It's going to start to get a sense of how far you're looking over and where your shoulders align to that. So if you can make sure your body's square and you get a sense of what it looks like out of your eyes to aim square, then you can do it on the golf course without having to think, because it's, again, something your eye naturally sees. Or if one time you're looking in this direction, then another time you turn your shoulder and it looks different, we're not getting a whole lot out of that alignment drill. So the more you can set everything square and stay like a statue and make sure you actually look at the hole, you're not just looking down at your putting drill, the better off you're going to be, because it starts to give you reference points for what square actually is when you step away from that training drill.